Hey everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this special episode of the Acting Podcast. Steve and I spoke recently via Zoom with an incredible group of casting directors who are sharing challenges, open calls, and calls for reels on social media and doing Instagram lives, all with the intention of being in collaboration with actors who they love, and to keep their own artistry alive during these challenging times. Bream, Jason Kennedy, Ramani Leah, Seth Caskey, Cara Chute Rosenbaum, Andrea Bunker, Becky Silverman, and Ryan Glorioso joined us for this conversation, and they're all offering generously to artists all over the world in ways to bring actors' unique voices to our collective work right now. This is exactly what it looks like when we all lean into our vulnerability and our art. We were so moved by what they had to say about the gorgeous, brave work they're seeing from thousands of artists around the globe, and we hope this special bonus episode will bring inspiration and encouragement to you and artists everywhere. So, enjoy. Hi, everybody. I'm Risa Bream Garcia. This is my partner, Steve Braun. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. We decided to invite you all because we've been watching you on our social media feeds and seeing how generously and incredibly actively you've been participating and offering all this cool stuff to actors. Monologue challenges and drop-ins and incredible support, and we want to hear from you all why and how it's working and what that looks like and the kind of response you're getting from actors and what you're seeing in the work that you're seeing from actors, and talk about where we all are in the industry as we're all quarantined in our separate cities and towns and homes. And I have a great deal of, as Steve does, respect for all of you as industry professionals and have watched your careers blossom, and it's really moving to have you all here today, so thank you for that. What we want to do is just call on each of you and ask you just to say one thing about why casting is important to you, what you love about it. And it may have changed, and you may have, or been cemented as we go through this pandemic experience, which is traumatic for so many of us. So just let us know what you love about this and why you do this.
And I think just to be clear, so our audience is largely actors, right? And so oftentimes they can have, speaking as a recovering actor, an adversarial relationship with you, or alternatively see you as the gatekeepers or someone that they must pursue, et cetera. So what we found over the years with the studio is we sort of combine those two and find artistry in the middle. On both sides, frankly, is to try to humanize the industry and to find out where your artistry is, so we can create some humanity in all of this too. So it's in the spirit of that we ask, knowing who our likely audience is here.
Yeah, and we want to find that common ground, which you have already expressed in your openness to actors and your ability and willingness to invite them into your lives, into your Instagram feeds, into your homes to share their work with you. All right, Erica, let's just start with you. What do you love about this thing, and how has that changed, if it has?
Well, thank you so much for doing all of this and having us. I mean, it's always great to chat with other peers and people going through the same thing. So thank you. My favorite piece of casting has always been that sort of magical moment when an actor gets it. And it could be because from a direction that we've given them, or it could just be something that they have come up with. And it happens right in front of you, or right in front of you on your screen, and it just clicks and it makes sense. And it's like, you feel yourself just kind of falling madly in love with the piece, with the character. Again, it's just new. And if it happens immediately within the first 5 people that you see for the role, it's amazing. If it happens 100 people down the road, it's exquisite. I just love that moment. And sometimes it happens more than once, on a project within the same character, but it's that feeling of being renewed or seeing something in front of you that you only imagined. And I love that piece of it. And I also really love our community, our casting community, which I think through this whole process of COVID and everything has really come together to support each other, to support actors. It's been a beautiful thing to just collaborate with everybody across time zones and countries and everything else. It's been pretty awesome.
Well, thank you. That's moving. Thank you for that. Yeah, cool. Ryan?
Hey, thank you. Um, I I'm a location casting director, and so I'm normally in New Orleans working. I just love ultimately the sense of accomplishment we get, at the when we finally get to finish the process and offer actors roles and see it all come together. That's a big part of it for me. I like that casting is always different. Every time we're on a new project, there are a lot of there are a lot of things that are the same, but ultimately it's always a different experience, and that's really one of the things I like about my job. And then also being on the local level, I enjoy getting the opportunity to sort of start from scratch with people, sort of find a new base of talent that can come up. So that's one of the things I really enjoy about my world here.
And how has it changed for you in the last 6 weeks?
Oh, well, it's I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I've seen a tremendous outpouring from the talent community wanting to do things, while they're locked in their houses, and then likewise I am wanting to do things as well. So just being able to interact with people on a business slash social level has been an interesting thing, and not so much of a, coming into the casting office and doing this thing that you've prepped, but rather us like figuring it out along the way. And it's sort of been an organic process, the things we've been doing with the monologue challenges and whatnot.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you. I know it definitely expanded and shifted. Ramani, yeah.
I just really, I think I kind of probably echo most people here that I just really love actors. And I think the biggest reason why is because they are really the truest expressors of emotion. And I think that that's a really cool thing to be part of. And I just love being able to be part of telling a story and telling stories that are moving to people and important to people, and shedding light on topics that can change our world, and just being part of that is so magical, and why I wanted to get into this in the first place.
And how are you seeing this shift for yourself as you're in this new world and working at home and being with children and having a big social media presence?
At first this was all just, it's really scary. This has never happened before in our world. This has never happened in our industry. Usually the film industry is the one field that kind of comes out during, a depression or recession or anything like that. And I think none of us knew how this was going to truly affect us. But I really saw this cool opportunity to connect with other casting professionals, actors, other people in our industry at a time when really the playing field is equal, and so it's been a really awesome experience to not only connect with other casting directors, but showrunners and directors and writers who are also quarantined with children and losing their minds and just wanting to talk about the stuff that they miss.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Andrea.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I moved out to LA specifically to act. So I did that. I did the hustle, the grinding, the auditions, the general meetings for 2 years, learning pretty quickly that it wasn't for me, but I still appreciated the process. So casting just made complete sense because I felt so connected, sympathetic, and like mindful of the process. So I thoroughly enjoy just kind of really putting that first, where, in the room, I try to do as many takes with an actor to avoid having them do the trek for a callback and little things like that, thinking about the commute. And I've just loved trying to make the process for them as easy and comfortable and joyful as possible. If I'm having a stressful day, not making it shown to them so they can be comfortable during a session. I've just, really always felt connected to that community. And I'm happy I still get to be involved in a way that can showcase them at their best, and they get to book the part, I get to see them on screen. It feels like a proud mom moment for me. And then regarding the change with all of the circumstance, I felt, I learned about a lot of new actors through actively casting and bringing in people for specific roles and seeing them in the audition room. So at this standstill, I thought, what's another way of being able to meet new people? So I thought, collecting reels, and either people that I've already known for about 8 years, just seeing their new material, because you start to stop watching their reels and just go off of what you know and remember. So seeing what they've been up to, and meeting a lot of new actors in the process. It's been so beneficial for me and for my database. So in a way to kind of say thank you back to the actors, because they've just been so grateful to even submit. So in return, I'm responding to them all with some feedback, or even if they don't need feedback, just letting them know that I received it, reviewed it, loved it, and just holding on to those gems in the database for future reference.
Wow, that is like, Steve, I don't know about you, but this is like really affecting me. Like, it really is. I'm just like blown away by this.
Well, I mean, and one of the reasons I know why it affects you is because you've been in the trenches doing similar things for 4 years or so, and you have been the source of many casting directors whose careers came from you. I can say this, and I know it may make you uncomfortable, but that's just what it is. And frankly, if there were an Oscar, I'm just going to keep going here. If there were an Oscar for casting directors, you would have gotten one for JFK or other things. So all that said, I also know that casting directors get sucked up in the process and the quickness of it, and lose the humanity in the process. You and I have seen that happen, Risa, firsthand. You seem to, almost to a fault, hang on to it and give actors more time and attention, oftentimes, and try to find the humanity in it. So that when you hear other casting directors do it, I'm playing armchair psychiatrist here, it's moving. And I think it's moving as it relates to actors also, because it's not the casting director. We're hearing from human beings here who made a choice to get into this, and whose hearts are in this too. And I think some of these monologue challenges are an expression of that too. So yeah, it makes sense to me that this is moving, and that there is humanity here and not just industry drones, which is exciting, I think.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I want to, part of this is to share that with actors, because they still do feel like you guys are the gatekeepers, and that they have to prove themselves to you and make you love them and parent them, and and feel like they have to show themselves to you rather than be with you in the work. So it's wonderful to hear, not only how generous you are, but how collaborative you are, and how how moving this is to you. Continuing on, Jason. So why are you a casting director, and what's happening now?
Well, thank you again for doing this. I think I've always wanted to be a casting director. I never really knew what it was way back when, but I found my way into the business, worked as an agent, and then I was like, okay, yes, I definitely want to be casting. I don't want to be an agent. I just loved working with actors. I loved meeting these people and kind of helping. I would fall in love with these people, and I would want to put them out there in the world and share them with the world. And when I got into casting, it was a perfect fit. I love reading with actors. I love that magic moment that Erica was mentioning, when it just clicks and it's kismet. It's just so natural and real and genuine. That connection is just there, and you can't miss it. And I also love when I become fans of actors, even somebody who comes in for a small role, and I'm like, oh wow, this person has something. I gotta bring them back for something else, and then I do, and over and over again, I keep bringing them in, and eventually they book something amazing, and I'm so excited for them, because I believe in them, and they just I don't know. I get excited for actors and just good people in general. But I don't know. I love it. It's a creative process, and with the things that are changing, I feel like I'm going to miss some things that I love, like reading with actors. I hope that someday I'll get to do that again, but I know that we're going to be moving into a different way of casting, and that's going to take some adjustments for sure.
A quick tangential follow-up, Jason. In terms of reading with actors, this is an aside. Do you find that it's easier for you to get a sense of an actor when you're reading with them, or on the outside observing their performance reading with somebody else?
I used to think, I still think when I'm reading with actors, I feel like I have a better sense of that connection. Sometimes I feel like I have a connection with an actor and people who are watching didn't see it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It was so real. It was right there. But I will admit, when I'm watching and I'm not reading, it's a different perspective for sure, but I can get it there too. It's just, I don't know, it really hits you to your core. I think when you're reading with somebody and you're participating in that scene, it's just not a read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Becky, hello. For those of you who don't know, Becky also teaches with us at the studio and is now teaching online in this virtual space that we're all experiencing. So,
had a wonderful class last night.
Good.
Casting is the only thing I've ever wanted to do, so I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do it for however many years now. Every so often you can bring in that outside of the box choice that isn't such like a crazy idea, but just like veers out of those lines just a little bit. And you don't know if it's going to work, but you want to try it. You think it could be really interesting. And then your producers go for it and they loved it. And they say, I never pictured it this way. It's awesome. It totally works. This is great. Thank you so much for bringing this actor in. And that's very exciting when that happens too. It certainly lets us know that we're doing our job and we know what we're doing, but that you're opening up possibilities for other actors as well. And then, aside from all of the watching and eating and reading and drinking that I've been doing, when Erica approached us to do the monologue challenge, I was like, this is a fantastic idea. Thank you so much for bringing it to us. Thank you so much for organizing it. And when she sent all of the videos, I mean, I myself, I think watched close to 100, which means that everyone involved watched close to 100, which meant that Erica had gone through all of those self-tape, all of those monologues and had put in that time and that energy. And I just thank you for that. It was amazing. Thank you for asking us to be a part of it. And something that kind of stuck out to me, other than the fact that we're all getting to do the thing that we love to do, and I think that that is so important and encouraging during a time like this, it broke down this barrier. You wouldn't normally give actors let's say your email address, or certainly your phone number, or let an actor into your home and see like where you live. And it's become so much less important, and we're seeing into each other's lives, I think, in such a way that we never would have been open to before. And there's something very special about that. And maybe that goes hand in hand with what you were talking about earlier about perhaps we are the gatekeepers, but we're also just human, just like everybody else. And we want to be able to relate to actors on any and every level, like we would with any normal person, friend, family.
Yeah, I mean, that's so huge. And it's hopefully getting us all back to that notion of working together, collaborating together to figure this out and not feeling like anybody has to prove anything to anybody. So that's so appreciated. And I think it's going to change the way we all work together going forward. Yeah. Thanks, Becky. Seth, are you with us?
I'm here.
Hi. Hi.
Like Andrea, I came to casting via the actor route. I moved here and worked a couple of years. I met many of you all as an actor when I first got here, and started as a reader. It was back when casting was able to have unpaid interns, and I started interning in offices and really connected with that process of things. And 5 years ago, Liz hired me on my first pilot, and I've been working with her ever since. And I love it. And now that I'm able to do it, it's what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. And I just needed to go down the actor path to figure that out. Because my favorite part of casting, and the reason that I love it so much, is the actors. And I think that I have this, because I was able to do that first, have this empathy for actors. And like Andrea, I want to give them great takes. I want to give them as many takes in the room, because I want that actor to leave not walking down the stairs going, oh, I wish I'd done this, or, all the actor talk that happens. I want your audition and read in our room to be the best part of your day. And so is whatever I can do to facilitate that. Like, I love it. And then like, as Jason was saying, becoming friends or becoming fans of actors that you keep bringing back in. And when that thing finally hits and they finally book it, like, I get as excited as they do when I'm finally able to hire someone. So that's why I love my job. It's the best job ever. In terms of this sort of open call and now what we've done here, it really sort of, when this started, the office kind of was approaching this as we would a normal hiatus. And like, okay, what will we do in a hiatus time? We'd do generals, we'd meet people, we'd get to know actors, we'd sort of build our own database. And so that was sort of the initial thought. And also sort of a way to keep our associates busy too, and them engaged and them continuing to grow. And so it's been an overwhelming number of actors have participated and sent us self-tapes and monologues, and it's just been incredible to see. You have a lot of energy, and to be able to do something with all of those feelings and everything that everybody is trying to process, and to give people a positive outlet to direct that energy into. I think allowing actors to either write their own monologues or come up with something, or self-tape, give them something to do, I think can also help you process the things. And so that's really the main reason why we wanted to do this.
Yeah, that's so cool. We talk about all that all the time, just in terms of us healing each other, and being in community and sharing in this experience. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Cara.
Hello. I mean, this is a tough act to follow with all of these lovely, lovely answers. But I'll just say, like, I've always loved storytelling, and I've always loved movies, and I've always loved being artistic and being creative. And, when you're a kid, you read a book and you imagine how that book looks in your head. And now we get to do that for a living. We get to take words on a white page and give it a body, a presence, a voice, a personality, and a vision, and make all of that happen. And it's just like an amazing thing to be a part of, and to be a part of in this industry. And nobody does this for the fame or the glory. That's not why we are on this side of it. We do it because we love it, and we want to be here. We want to be working with these beautiful, talented, artistic people. And, on this side of what's been going on, I think one of the positive things is that it's sort of taken the competitive nature out of this, because they're not competing for jobs anymore. There's no jobs to have. So they can sort of turn inward and focus more on themselves, and, internally, how they are as an actor, how to be the best version of themselves and grow as an actor and connect. And, this whole experience is really humanizing and humbling, and makes you take a look at where you are in the world and what kind of person you want to be. And I think it speaks real volumes that we've really been able to kind of come together and say, okay, let's connect in this way, where everything is just so messed up right now. And we're people who are artists, and we thrive on connection. And so trying to explore new avenues for that is really empowering and wonderful. And I know keeps me sane, and I know keeps so many of you guys sane too. And I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and so what's interesting here is we hear all of you from a very personal place speak of your emotional investment in actors and your emotional investment in casting, and the obvious care that you take, and pride in your work, which is exciting. And then, as you say, Cara, the industry stops. So all of these wonderful feelings that you have about what you do and the actual interactions with actors, they stop. And so I'm interested, and we'll start with Ryan, maybe, with that moment where everything shuts down, right? So like the industry's go, 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 and it's up and it's down, and you sort of fall off the cliff after 3 months of working on something, and lie on your floor for 3 weeks and then gut it up again and go back. It's just roller coaster all the time. And then all of a sudden the party stops and there's dead silence. And some of you spoke about this, Seth in particular. What do we do now? How do we keep people, associates, still working? How do we engage with actors? What is that thing for you, Ryan, as the industry stops, that then takes you to, let's do this monologue challenge?
Oh, that's a great question. So I looked at my calendar. It's been 6 weeks. I've been sitting in my house, a little over 6 weeks, actually. Everything I was on shut down. And, initially, I'm sure like most of us, our producers were saying, it's going to be probably 2 weeks. We'll come back. We'll probably have to add an extra week of prep, to whatever project it was. Of course, I'm watching the news like everyone else and seeing, okay, it's definitely not going to be 2 weeks. What the heck are we going to do? So I just actually did my challenge as sort of just a thing to do to see what would happen, to just spread some, something to do around. So I started this hashtag that's 1 minute monologue challenge. And I tagged 5 actors, 5 local New Orleans actors. And I told them each that they had to tag 5 more actors once they post their monologue to Instagram and use the hashtag. Well, that just sort of became a thing, and suddenly, everyone's tagging me and putting the hashtag, and before I know it, I have 1,300 monologues, and oddly enough, this little database that is just a hashtag that I can go to and like find awesome actors. So eventually, a couple of weeks went by and I was like, okay, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And an actor wrote to me on Instagram and he's like, hey, it would be really cool if like the top people got something. And I was like, oh, I didn't think about a prize. Like there has to be prizes in this. So then I thought about it overnight and I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the judge of their talent per se. I'm going to let this machine I put it on be the judge based on like their popularity. I know that's terrible, but basically the most popular ones based on views and whatever Instagram's algorithm is who got selected to have a one-on-one Zoom chat with me. Actually, we auditioned to do it. And I did a Q&A. That was the culmination, a live Instagram Q&A, and which was great. We had like a bunch of people tune in for like two hours and answered a bunch of questions. And at the end, I announced the winners. And then we did those meetings this past week, which was really awesome. Like probably my favorite thing that came out of it was every one of them that were in the top were from somewhere else. They weren't necessarily from New Orleans. And like this one actor I met, he's been in LA for 18 years and he had 4 auditions last year. And I was like, you're this amazing actor. Like, why are you only getting 4 auditions? So I was like, you need to come to New Orleans. So I use it as an opportunity to poach the talent from your pool there in LA. Just kidding. But no, I did recommend him move to New Orleans.
So, and what are you seeing? I want all of you, would love all of you guys to jump in on this, because you're seeing actors showing up. I mean, how are you seeing actors differently, not only in this sphere, but just in this zone?
Yeah, I mean, so Risa, you just used the word fear, and I think...
Okay, would you just say your name first?
Becky Silverman. I think that there's an element of pressure that doesn't exist because, like Cara said earlier, there's no job. there's no role, no one's booking anything. And so I think this level of pressure expectation is gone. And so it's perhaps allowing a lot of these actors to just be, just do the thing. And the hair doesn't have to be put into perfect place, and the makeup like these things that and maybe I'm speaking personally as well, like I'm not focused on it as much. I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressed. I'm not obsessing about it. And I feel like I was seeing that from a lot of these actors, that things that they felt had to be so perfect, they don't actually. It just doesn't matter. That's not what it's about.
This is Erica speaking. To go along with that, I think there's a real harness of the different energy and emotions that they're going through right now. There's a lot of highs and lows right now across the board for everybody. And I've seen a lot of performances that are using that in a really productive, creative way that can be really moving or really sort of hysterically funny because it's so real. But there is this sense of, which is exactly what Becky and Cara were saying, of letting go. It's just free because it's not a job, and it's just something to do to keep the passion alive and keep being creative and to give yourself something to help your craft. And I think people are having fun, and it's coming across, even if their scene is not a fun scene. The joy of the work is there, and it's really, really beautiful to see. And people are creating all kinds of brand new things with that energy and emotion, and finding new ways to showcase old things. And it's been really, really inspiring.
Yeah, this is Ryan. One of the recurring things that I've seen through the monologues coming in on the social media platform, there are probably 5 times out of 10, the actor will put a note, in the description, like, I wouldn't normally, post this to my social media or put my work out there like this, but I've just seen so many amazing actors doing it, and I just, I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there, or whatever it is. But that is sort of been a recurring theme, which I think is pretty cool, that people who kind of just keep their art for themselves, or just when they go to a casting office, it really is out there for the whole world when you're putting it on social media. Like, anybody can go to it. It's not a private thing. So putting themselves out there like that is, really great. I like it. I like saying it.
Yeah, Andrea, thoughts on that? First of all, how this monologue challenge situation has gone for you, what brought you to do it, but also the sort of work that you're seeing now as opposed to pre-pandemic.
One great thing that I feel I'm seeing a lot more now. So my request out to actors was for them to specifically just send me their demo reels to see their work. And a great thing I'm seeing a lot more now that I haven't before is them recognizing how beneficial and the importance of having a recorded monologue or a self-tape, whether it's one they prepared recently for a specific challenge, or if it's one that they had that they were so proud of that they're able to share, using that in place of a reel that they don't have yet or that they aren't proud of. It's been so beneficial for me to see that performance sometimes over a reel, and it's great. I'm noticing them just feeling more comfortable and confident showing that material in place of. So I think that's opened up a whole new portal for people starting out to showcase their chops and to be seen. I think that's the biggest change I've really noticed through demo reels. I'm not getting too many emails of people saying, I'm just starting out, here's a pick and res. They already have that link handy. And if they don't, then I'll suggest, considering to prepare a monologue or considering to, go back to your self-tapes and refer to something you're proud of. So I think that has changed. It's always been there. Agents and reps and managers have used that as a tool already in the past couple of years in place of a reel. They would also share a recent self-tape. But I definitely have seen the rolling effect of, Erica and Ryan's challenges and how they've been utilizing that in general to be seen.
And that's amazing because I know a lot of us have had rules about no self-tapes as reels, and things have been so strict. Not that everybody has the same rule, and that's one thing actors don't necessarily always understand, that we have different desires or requests. But this is allowing people to be a little messier and a little more lo-fi in what they share, and there's no, it doesn't have to be beautiful and perfect as long as we see them and feel them. Yeah. Hey, Erica, you started a lot of this. What made you want to do it, and what are you seeing, and how is this going with these thousands of people sending you themselves?
It's honestly, despite the number of tapes that I've seen in the last 6 weeks, it's pretty awesome. The very first challenge I did, which seems like it was a million years ago now, was I want to say it was like March 11th. It was whatever that Friday was, when everything started to shut down. And I was, watching the news and watching how things were going, and hearing from studio executives like, no, we're not going to have that meeting now. Let's talk about it in a few days or whatever. And I thought, actors are going to start to panic. Everybody's seeing this news, and they're going to start to freak out, and they're going to start to ask questions, and nobody's going to have answers. So I thought a good sort of productive way to just keep them doing something that was fun and, free and whatever, was just to let them do a challenge, a self-tape challenge. And for that first one, I provided scenes. They picked their own. I got maybe 300 tapes for it, something like that. And we had winners, and they got to vote on it. And it was really fun. And what I got from that, which is what I thought I was doing, this nice thing for actors to keep them busy and make them feel good. And watching their tapes made me feel so normal in the midst of that was the crushing weekend of the sports are canceled. These are things are, it was that time. And it helped me emotionally more than I can ever say, just feel like I was normal again, and that this still mattered. So we did that challenge. I was like, great, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to get more people involved this time. And so that's when I did the monologue challenge with the other wonderful casting directors, 3 of whom are here. And again, I probably should have anticipated that now by then people were sort of used to being home and ready to do more work. And so that one, we got 1,500 monologues, and we split them up and chose our favorites and had generals. And then I decided, like an insane person, I decided to do one more, and got 8,500 tapes for this last one, which is all original scenes. And I think this might be the last one for me. I think it's gonna take me right through the end of 2020.
I mean, but think about that, 8,500 that people wrote themselves. I mean, what does that say to you guys?
I mean, I'm so stunned. I didn't anticipate that many, because I didn't think that many people would be brave enough to write something, mostly because I'm not that brave. But they did, and there's some really awesome work in there that I'm very excited for people to see.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to, this isolation and this pressure cooker of a time, pushing people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. So we're, to a certain extent, on the other side of it. Multiple times a week, we still have, many classes going on Zoom. And so we're interacting with these actors who are doing that work and writing those monologues and sending their reels and their tape monologues to you all. And it really is, I think, a gift for most of them. Some of them feel overwhelmed by, oh my God, I have to do this or else my career will die during this pandemic or whatever else. There's some of that. Let's use this as an opportunity to maintain the spinning and the desperation. But I think for the most part, people are excited to be able to still do work and for some sort of structure that allows them to express their art, which is exciting. Jason, what are your thoughts on, because I think, this is interesting. So if we think about so NCIS is back in, however many months or whatever, right? What is this platform, Zoom, the sort of undoing of all the shiny bells and whistles and everything needing to be perfect, your relationship between you and the actor, perhaps without an agent, because we're the agents in all these monologues. How do things change when you start getting back up and running for casting?
A good question. I mean, I'm doing something a little different than the monologue challenge. We decided to do a big virtual open call, and we wanted it to be different. We wanted actors to kind of give them something to do that was more in line with the actual audition process, and give them, you know, a variety of sides to choose from our shows, from older episodes, and let them choose what they want to do. And also, we wanted to get the agents and the managers involved. We wanted them to submit their clients and to communicate with their clients and to facilitate all of that, and just kind of get everybody active and participating. And it's been amazing and overwhelming, and we have way too many people to go through, but it's been wonderful. I'm just really excited about it. It's also was a way we wanted to kind of I wanted to use it as a way to remind people that there's these resources out there that they can use for help if they need it. We sent this out to not just agents, managers, but also Actors Access. So there's a lot of actors all over the U.S. Who are submitting themselves that don't have representation. And I'm really excited about that because we are seeing people that we normally wouldn't see. Usually when we're casting our shows, we have time to send out breakdowns to agents and managers, and that's about it. And we barely have enough time for that. So being able to see talent that's unrepresented is wonderful. And there's so much great talent out there. I wish I could give feedback to everybody, but it's just not possible. But it is it's really rewarding to watch and see what's coming in. I think, you know, the future of casting is going to certainly change. I don't know if that means that we're going to be having Zoom, you know, pre-read sessions, or if it's going to be a lot of self-tapes, and maybe we're going to, you know, give actors notes to you know, change things up and try something a different way. I don't know. I feel like things are still being figured out. I know that studios are talking and unions are talking, and a lot of stuff is being discussed. I feel like we're probably going to get specific instructions on how our studio and maybe even our producers want to proceed when we come back. And I know that we have our own, you know, our office has our own thoughts about what that might look like. We'll have to see what's possible and what's going to work for everybody. I will miss the in-person experience, and I hope that we can get back to that point in the near future. We're going to have to utilize technology a lot more than ever, for sure. And thankfully, we have that. I mean, 10 years ago, we would not be able to do this. Can you imagine if this happened 10 years ago? We would be dead in the water. We would not. I mean, gosh, I think I was still dealing with VHS tapes back then. So can you imagine? So we're fortunate that we're in a place with technology that we're able to work and continue at the same quality, if not better.
What's interesting, though, is what you're all talking about, what you're all seeing is such a human way of working, and people letting go of things, and the hair and the presentational element of it. And we're seeing this in class every single day, that people are just showing up as human beings doing their work. And if that can change things, because that's ultimately what we all want, right? If that can change the way we experience actors and how we can, I was talking to a showrunner about this and explaining this to him, and he was blown away by the possibility that you could really see human beings in a different way. So, you know, what are your thoughts about how this nature of connection and collaboration can change the way that we'll experience auditions and self-tapes in a virtual space, potentially in at least the next 3 to 6 months?
Ramani, what are your thoughts?
I think there's going to have to be a lot of schooling, per se, to actors in self-taping. I mean, certainly it's been a lot more prevalent in the last few years, but you know, there's an art to it. And like Erica sometimes says, it's a different kind of a muscle that I think actors are going to need to learn how to train. And I think that part of that is our responsibility, and also a great opportunity right now with all these different challenges and doing these lives and talking about self-taping and kind of using this time to school them on what makes a really great self-tape. And a lot of times it's not just, you know, that we have to see your face clearly and hear your voice and not let the reader overpower you and all of these things that we know, but how to make that connection through just a screen that we don't get in person. And there's a lot of ways you can do that, but we're going to have to be able to work together with them to do that. And I think, like Jason was saying, we're going to have to give a lot of notes beforehand before we send out the self-tape request. There's going to be a lot of redirects going on. We're going to have to do our best to set them up for success in order for this to work.
This is Erica talking. Ryan, you should speak to this too, because in the Southeast, we are a big self-tape market down here in general. So having come from LA to the Southeast, it has been a big transition, because I was casting in person for 17 years and then casting from my little home office, just watching tapes for the last 2. And it is different, and it requires different muscles for the actors, but also for casting, to know what kind of information the actors are going to need before they tape. Is it possible for them to retape? Is it possible for them to do a virtual callback? What's a virtual callback like? Is it good enough quality for everybody watching? And there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but it's completely possible. I mean, I think the Southeast market in general, and Ryan, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is proof in the pudding.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this market since 2005, and we were self-taping back then. I think if we put out the instructions, which is what we normally do anyway, we put detailed instructions, and if there are any specific notes for each character that we want to send along with the tape request, we send those along as well. Outside of what's on the breakdown. It is doable, though. I mean, I do a lot of the television work. So as you guys know, that's a really fast process. And we're often casting from the tapes. I probably see 50% of the people that I'm auditioning for an episode live, and then the other half are coming from tapes. So if my producer wants to do a redirect, we usually do that through another self-tape. They're all so great at turning it around really fast, and it's generally just 1 or 2 people that need to do that redirect, because they've kind of zeroed in on who they're liking from the batch that was sent. So I don't think it's as hard as, don't let it overwhelm you guys if you're not used to that. I think it is a quick adjustment.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying that, and we are all getting more and more used to it. I know this last pilot season was heavy duty self-tape, because people are accepting it as a way to do things. But I'm really curious, and maybe Seth, you can speak to this first. What do you actually want to see in a self-tape? Ramani, you spoke to it. With the technical stuff, everybody can get down pretty quickly. And Eric, you spoke to that too. But what is it that moves you, that affects you, that makes you want to keep watching? I mean, a lot of us are teaching self-tape classes, but I'm really curious as to what that is for you. What keeps you engaged, and when do you look at that and have that same magic moment that you may have live?
That's a great question. And I think that, I speak for our office and how we have used self-tapes in the past, and we always have preferred to get actors in the room. But when we do get a self-tape, I think it's the actor's ability to really make that connection, really understanding the material and being able to, I always encourage actors to think of their audition in the room as a take and not an audition of coming in to try and get the job. Like, you've already got the job, and it's the actors from my standpoint in the self-tapes that really approach it as, here we come in and I'm showing you my work. I'm not asking you for the job, or I'm not trying to impress you at all, are the ones that for me are the ones that really sing.
This is Ryan. I think it's really important for the actor to create the environment that they're inhabiting within the life of the scene, and give us a good moment before, but not just being a talking head. giving it a little extra life. And I think that comes with their confidence in the scene and the material and what they're doing, all that shows through a self-tape. I mean, you can completely tell when someone isn't fully committed or fully off book. I can see when an actor has the lines pasted up on their camera, like next to their, I know when they're reading it, right? And that is not all the work that they need to do, I mean, yes, you can carry your script if you need to, but let's face it, you're doing a self-tape. Why not make it the best possible tape you can make for this audition?
And so, what I hear you both saying, I think, is that like the platform be damned, you have to connect, right? Whether it's in a 10,000 seat theater or, in your living room, no matter the platform, be it Zoom or whatever on your iPhone. But what I am curious about is some of the intangibles. Like, for instance, so if you're auditioning for a pilot, the hope is that you may get 7 seasons out of this thing. Hand of God touches you, But so how does the showrunner or the casting director look at that actor who comes in for the series regular on that show that they hope to go 7 seasons and work with for 7 years plus? How do they know who that person is beyond just their talent? And even that, right? In the, let's say even 13 pages of work, like, and maybe you've seen the reel and whatever else, but Cara, if you want to take a crack at this, so you're seeing people on Zoom, let's say, because it's 4 months from now and Zoom is still a thing, and that's how, we're casting. How do you deal with those intangibles beyond just are they talented or not?
I mean, I think it's not a whole lot different from how you're dealing with it regularly. Like, I mean, that's our job, and it's a pretty daunting task, no matter if you're doing it live or you're doing it over the internet. And now we have to do it over the internet. So it's just an added level of stress and, another hurdle that we have to get over. I think one of the biggest things with the self-tapes that I see, at least, is that they really have to pop from the beginning. The first moment of that self-tape has to keep me interested in watching it, because I can just turn it off. Whereas when you're in the room, I have to go with you on this journey. That's why we love live theater too, right? We're going with somebody on a journey live, and we can watch them sort of warm up into the scene a little bit. And maybe they really get to the crux of the scene right before the scene is over. And we're like, oh my God, that took my breath away. But if you don't make me want to keep watching that tape, I might not even get there. Because a lot of the time, like if we see from the beginning, it's probably going to be right, we might not watch it all the way through. So if you're really taking your time to warm up and you're like, oh yeah, the middle of the scene is really where I'm going to shine. And like, yes, a lot of that's going to depend on context and writing and the role and whatever. But it really, those first few seconds of a self-tape are going to be really crucial to making us want to keep watching. The same way when you turn on a pilot, of a new TV show, and the first few moments of that show, you're like, I don't know about any of these people. Do I really want to watch this? Like, it's the same thing. You want to keep us engaged. You want to keep us interested in, and you want to hook us from the beginning. Ryan was speaking about the moment before. I think that's a huge thing, especially if you're talking about these first few moments. So while a lot of the question is context based, because I think it depends on the project, on the material, and the actor, and matching and doing all those things, but we would be doing all of those things anyway. Now we just have this added bonus of we can't do it live in a room. And so I think being communicative and being able to redirect and being open to redirection and all of that, those wonderful things we've been talking about, is really going to be key. And I think what's also interesting about what's going on right now is, a lot of the times casting directors are looked at as like sort of kept in this castle and a dragon, and like you can't get to them, and they're evil, and like what are they really? And this has broken down the walls a lot of between the actor and the casting director, this whole thing. And just by them being able to send us monologues and know that we're watching them, because sometimes they make these tapes and they're like, did the casting director even see it? Like, they know we're seeing this stuff now. We got nothing but time to see this stuff now. So I don't know, the whole process is shifting and changing. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think in terms of like what people are bringing to the table, it's still going to be sort of following all of those general rules.
But what I hear you saying is like this notion of working quicker, this moment before, and as much as 1,000 years ago, maybe you schedule 10 people for a session, half an hour apart or whatever, and you really work it through and find the, whatever their version of it. Now it's, as you all are speaking to, you've got actual thousands of self-tapes or
we're going to be able to go through that. Sorry, we're going to be able to go through that stuff much quicker now. because it's not going to be live. You know, before it took us 4 hours to see a certain amount of people, and now it's like at noon we're going to get hundreds and hundreds of tapes and be able to kind of go boom 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 through them a little bit more, for better or worse. We're going to be able to really look at them next to each other and see what stands out. And is that better? Is that worse? I have no idea, you know, but it's where it's headed towards. And so you need to be able to really land it from the beginning.
So an actor's got to work quicker. Yeah, go ahead, Erica. Sure.
Sorry, Steve. So sort of jumping off what Cara was just saying, there are a lot of people, especially people in LA, who have done in-person auditions for a very, very long time. They were prior to this, of course, were a little loath to adopt self-taping because they prefer the in-person experience. But the thing with self-tapes is that they open up the opportunity to a lot more people than we could ever see in person. So all of those wonderful actors, like the guy Ryan met, who only had 4 auditions last year, he may have only had 4 opportunities to go in live, but maybe now that everything is self-tapes, he gets 16 auditions this year. It allows us to see more people in a smaller amount of time. And again, for better or for worse, you know, that means that you have more competition, but it also means that more people are getting opportunities. It could also mean, from the casting side of things, that we are finding people that we maybe never would have otherwise because we have opened up our pool. And I think there's something really cool and exciting about that. And if people can embrace the fact that this is the way it's going to go for a bit, I think they'll see that there are a lot of positives to self-taping, beyond, of course, staying healthy and safe, which is going to be key for a while. But it really does allows us to see more out of the box choices. It allows us to see more roles that are any gender, because again, we've got just more bandwidth to do it. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's possible doing virtual.
And apropos that discussion, go ahead, Lisa.
You talked about that first moment. You guys are talking about a certain kind of work. So what is that thing? Because the thing that you're responding to now in the submissions that you're seeing in the reels, or people doing scenes for you, Jason, or the monologue challenges, what are you seeing? What is that thing that you're seeing that's getting you excited, that's making you want to give them, make them winners, or, share them with each other? What is, and you guys talked about that before, that excitement of that magic moment when somebody just connects with that. So if you can put any of that into words, because the thing actors want to know, and they're hearing this, they want to hear from you. Ramani, maybe you can speak to this, because I see you nodding your head. Yeah, but what is, because they want to know, but what is that moment, and what do you guys respond? What's going to keep you guys engaged? Yeah.
So actors, many times they have to turn water into wine. And this has been really cool, because this is the first time that they get to choose the material, that they get to choose pieces that really resonate with them and show us who they are and what makes them unique and what makes them, them. And so I've seen monologues that, the way that they connect to these roles are palpable, and they're able to do that with these scenes that they choose for themselves. And I think that that's just been really cool to see that side of them, because I see a lot of the same actors for roles that I bring them in for, but maybe it's not roles that they always want to go out for. And this has been an opportunity for them to say, hey, you don't always cast roles like this. I don't always go out for roles like this, but this is what I can do. That's really opened up my brain a little bit and has been really cool to see.
Hey, this is Seth. I'll just jump in too. And from casting standpoint, I'm not starting the self-tape with this role in mind of the prototype we've talked about, and is this going to work, and can this person be on set in 2 days? Is this the guy for the job? I don't know what I'm about to watch. And so for me, that's what's interesting, is seeing these actors that have chosen this great material and then are allowing me to see them, either how they see themselves, or actors that I already know that are doing something that is different, that's just allowing my imagination to go on where do they fit in the worlds that we work on, and how can I use them in the future.
And how do you guys think that's going to affect how you work differently, maybe, when you look at actors in the virtual space, in the self-tape forum, and even in person? How is this opening up your minds?
Well, I think it's been said a couple of times. It's allowing us to see more actors than we normally would. It's allowing us to open it up to different types of actors. And it might not always work, but since we're not confined to, the 2 or 3 hours in the morning, the 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, whatever those live sessions might be, we can put out 4 times as many auditions or give 4 times as many opportunities, see what comes back, see what people are doing with it. And I think it can really open up people's eyes and minds once we're back in whatever form we're going to get back into. I have absolutely no idea what that's going to look like, but this could be really interesting where like we get that script and it's this description and this age and this gender, X, Y, and Z, but we have the opportunity to open that up and see what might happen. And hopefully our producers will feel the same way and be willing and open to thinking outside the box, giving people opportunities. This is how I pictured it in my head when I wrote it, but now that I see it on its feet, I never thought it could be this way, and this is fabulous. I really think it's the same thing. It kind of doesn't matter whether it's live or over a tape. It's connection. It's the actor's connection to the role. It's the actor's connection to the camera, and it's our connection to the actor. And that differs from one of us to the next, but when it's right and it works, we see it, we get it, that's what we respond to. I think all the technical aspects of a self-tape, everyone knows and everyone can figure out. I think during this time, if actors have not done so already, they should be doing self-tapes, watching them back, seeing what looks best, what works best for them. And then it just boils down to the work that they do and how we respond to it when we watch it.
Jason here. I also think that this is going to put a lot more responsibility on actors to be even more prepared. You've got to be on top of your game and know the material inside and out. Know what it is we expect of you. Try to get all your questions answered before you go on tape. Obviously, we're not going to be there to answer your questions and have a conversation with you. So, go to your agent, ask questions, have them come to us. We'll answer them if we can. We want you to have everything that you need to give the best performance possible. And even though you're not able to come into the room, we'll do what we can to make that possible for you.
This is Cara. I also think what's really interesting is that what we're seeing is actors are having the ability to watch one another's tapes too right now, which I think is one of the most helpful things that they can do, because they can look at somebody and say, oh, like I see their choices, I see that work, I see the honesty in what they're doing, or even I see how they framed themselves and how I've been maybe not framing myself in the best light. And it's always like the actor always wants to know what's going on inside that audition room, even though they can usually hear it because all casting offices have the thinnest walls in the city. But they always want to know what's going on inside that room, or what that person did, or what did they do to book the job, or what did they do. They have that opportunity now where they can really learn and look at each other's work, which I think is an invaluable tool for them. So all of these things are at their fingertips to be able to see each other's self-tapes or these monologues or whatever. And I think they can learn so much from each other, which is a really incredible, wonderful thing. So I think it's only going to be more helpful for them in that way too, if they really are able to learn from.
But both of you, Cara and Jason, I mean, what you're both saying is that actors have to exercise leadership here and take command of this stuff. So as perhaps there's a distancing from that more personal or in-person connection with a casting director, a director, a showrunner in the room who can give notes, and this mantra that so many actors say, well, but I'm better in the room. Like that has to die because it's on them now. So what if there is no direction? What if the thing that they're reading doesn't necessarily make sense? Or what if they don't know if they're the killer or not? And nobody's told them. Like all of that leads to, well, it's just me. So I have to make these decisions and take some command of all this. The one thing that I wanted to ask is, I think we alluded to it before, where are the agents in all this? If there's a direct line between actor and casting director, where do the agents go? in all this? Silence.
Go ahead, Ryan. You go.
This is Ryan. I think the agents are absolutely necessary. I don't want to manage auditions on a singular individual basis. I want an agent to manage their roster of folks. I think I kind of remember what I was going to say. Like, I know they'll all get to the technical place that they need to be with the tapes, but one of the really important things is following the instructions that we put along with these tapes. If I need to see a full body slate, and I need it to be at the end of the tape, I need that followed. I need that done properly. And I think that's another, not that the agents need to be police, but I think that is one of the benefits of it filtering through the agent. They can make sure that these things are getting done properly, files are being tagged the way they need to be tagged, whatever the case may be. But I mean, and I trust my agents in my area. I trust their opinion on their talent. So they're needed in that regard first and foremost. I want them to send me the right submissions, when I put a breakdown out.
Yeah, this is Erica, and we still need them for all the normal ththings, the availabilities, the calendar, making sure that their clients are really available. Can your client really ride a horse? All of the things. They are a necessary step, and and especially creatively, like Ryan just said, if we all have these massive catalogs of actors in our brains, but they're massive. And it's nice to have somebody be like, no, this one. And we're like, oh yeah, that one. And agents and managers are really good at doing that with their submissions and their pitches. So they are definitely going to still be a major part of the process, not to mention, of course, the deal making.
Yeah, Ryan, again, I think what you might find in possibly the LA, New York markets is something that regional agents have been dealing with for years, is there's probably a lot more work that they have to do as far as the tapings go. It's probably an additional person on staff maybe for them. I don't know, because if it, like, I can't remember who was saying, we'll be able to see so many more options for whatever role it is. I mean, that's a lot more tapes that are filtering through that agency, and that they have to,
Yeah. And filtering through casting directors, and needing more staff to manage all of that. So just to, in a way, wrap up, because there's so much to talk about here, would love to hear from each one of you as to where you're at and what you want actors to know about access and showing up and taking leadership and honoring their voices. What is it you're finding, each of you, and what is it that you want them to know right now?
This is Andrea speaking. I think I'm learning more and more about actors being a little too bogged down at times with, should I have a montage in my reel? Should this come first or that come first? And I want them to focus on just the acting aspect of everything, and there's no denying talent. So even if you have that montage in the beginning, which I think, we all prefer to just jump right into your acting in a reel and hear you, feel you, see you. So we prefer that. But if you, for whatever reason, can't let go of that 10-second montage in the beginning, there's no denying talent. So when we see you act, we'll forget that montage existed if we hate it so much. So don't get so stressed out, and don't focus so much on the little what's right, because it's going to be different for every single office, for every person within each office. We all have our own preferences, but there's no denying talent. And there's no denying someone who can follow instructions and someone who is taking their career seriously. So just focus on that, and focus on studying, working on your craft, and things. I don't stress too much about the small things, and just make sure you get the basics right and it's there. And I think just focus on the chops.
Cool. Thank you.
This is Becky. We're all in the same boat. We're all living in such uncertain, unknown times, and this will be figured out eventually. And I think it's important to hold on to that and remember that. But until then, we're all stuck at home. We're all going crazy, and we all just want to stay busy and creative and fulfilled, and whatever you individually are feeling right at this moment, so many other people are feeling the same way. So don't feel alone, and do a monologue and put it on tape.
Jason here. When things do return to some sort of normalcy and we are back at work, I want actors to just remember that we are still here and we're still fighting for you, and we believe in you. And although we may not have that face-to-face time with you as much anymore, know that we are watching your material, we're seeing your work, we are advocating for you, we are still loving what you're doing, and we're rooting for you. We're just going to be doing things a little differently now, but we're still on your side.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in because my connection seems to be okay for the time being.
Yes.
This is Ramani. I think I just want actors to remember that, technology is going to change a little bit. Our industry is going to change a little bit. 2020 is apparently our final pilot season, but acting is not changing. Your craft is not changing. Acting techniques are not changing. Human connection is not changing. And to just remember that, and that this is what it's all about. And we're still going to be looking for all of that. And your craft is not going anywhere.
Thank you. That's lovely. Yeah.
It's Cara. I also would love to just say to actors that quarantine is not a productivity contest. I saw that on the internet the other day and I was just like, oh yes, because there is a lot happening, and I think a lot of them feel like they have to keep up with all of it, and if they don't do every single challenge or every single thing and take advantage of every opportunity, they're going to miss out. You're not behind. We're all behind right now. We are all stuck. We are all doing the best we can to navigate through these very muddy waters. Do the things that are going to creatively fulfill you. Do the things that are going to show you in your best light. Do the things that are going to you're going to learn from, that are going to better yourself. That's what this time is sort of for, in a way, is to kind of do the best that we can do. And by running yourself ragged, you're not doing yourself a service. So do those things that are going to creatively fulfill you, that are going to make you better, that are going to focus on you. And that's the version of you that we really want to see.
This is Erica. I'm just kind of echoing what everybody else said, but really, to remember going forward through this and out of this is to keep trusting casting. We are there for you. We are there to guide you. We will help you every step of the way through the normal casting process and outside of it. And we will, self-taping can feel very isolating and very lonely, and which is, of course, will make you overthink everything. But we will be there to sort of give you a note for a new tape if needed, or give you the notes before you tape to begin with. And, just continue to trust us. We are here for you. We are still going to be a big part of your process.
Hey, it's Ryan. Yeah, I mean, gosh, what everyone said. I mean, I just want you guys to know that I'm in your corner always when you're coming in to read from me, or doing it on tape, or doing it one of these virtual chat systems. So just have confidence. I want actors to just remain confident in what they're doing, always. I think that's the key to all of it, is your confidence in yourself and in the material. That, again, will never change.
Cool. Seth?
And I was going to say, I don't know that I have anything better to add than what everyone else has said. They've all said it so perfectly. I think if anyone's listening to this, I think the one thing that I think you can take away is that we're all human beings too. That yes, we may have a different job title, and we may be a part of the process of you getting on a show or booking a job, but we're all human beings. We're all collaborating and doing this together. So just remember that we're all people, and we're there for you.
I love that so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate that you're here, and that you're offering your humanity and your generosity and your talent and your love of actors, which is so important for us to all remember, and that we're all learning and growing in this new virtual space together. And it's the great unknown, but what you're all doing to make that productive and positive and creative and connected is significant. I just, without making yourselves crazy and looking at 4,000 tapes, we just encourage you to stay in the connection and the humanity of it. And it's moving and ultimately bands us and bonds us all together. So that's just gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm going to say this too, and it's a quick pivot from the lovely humanity stuff. I trust also that the work that you're doing now will also be good for your careers. And I mean that with love, that what you're radiating right now and the connections you're making with actors is not only good for our hearts and stuff, but I suspect at some point showrunners and the people who will hire you, and as much as you all have to hustle for jobs too, will see that that you lead with your hearts, that you're emotionally invested in what you do, that you care, and that you have deep connections to actors. So let's hope that happens too, because it's deserved.
Yeah. What you put out will come back. It's great to get to know you. Really, really lovely to get to know all of you and get to know each other and carry on, man. Just carry on.
Thanks for
you so
putting
much
this
for
together.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
So
great.
take good care of
Thanks,
yourselves.
guys. Yeah.
Good seeing you,
Thank you
Steve.
so
Thank you,
much.
guys.
keep on
Yeah.
keeping
Thank you,
on.
everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
We are thrilled and moved by the response to the podcast. We love reaching actors all over the world, actors like you, who tell us that our podcast inspires them, informs them, and makes them excited and proud to be an actor.
Yeah, but make no mistake, an acting career is won by being in the consistent practice of the work, week after week, month after month, year after year. Success for an actor is in the doing.
So, here at the BGB Studio, we offer the highest quality acting training for passionate, committed, talented, and ambitious actors. We see that kind of work transform talent into successful careers, and that makes us so happy.
There is no substitute for doing the work consistently, and we offer the work of success. We are the home of your 10,000 hours. We offer ongoing and 8-week on-camera auditions, scene study, and workout classes. They're available now.
So sign up now to secure your spot and get to work. Go to BremenGarciaBraun.com/classes or click the link for classes in the podcast show notes. We'll see you in class.